Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over Tropical Storm Sally. Currently it is a tropical storm. It is expected to become a hurricane in the eastern Gulf of Mexico right before impacting parts of southeastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and southern Alabama with up to 15 inches of rainfall and also some damaging storm surge and wave height threats. So we really have a very strong storm on our hands. We're going to be going over all of that and more in today's video. Also, something I just wanted to mention, I do believe I was the first person, at least on YouTube, that I've seen to actually mention the threat or actually go in depth on the threat of this potential storm. And I did make my video, I believe, 2 or 3 days ago on this storm, and it really has, the forecast really has panned out. And yesterday and a couple days ago, it was looking like it's going to go over into Florida, but now it is moving further and further to the west. Still, we have a very strong storm on our hands, and I'll be going over that and also all the threats that you should be worried about with the storm in today's video. So let's get right into it here. Let's start off with your National Weather Service page. Currently, we have some flood watches in effect for parts of the southeastern Gulf Coast, as well as for parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. We have some hurricane and tropical storm warnings in effect. We have another area there for parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. We have some flood watches in effect. We have red flag warnings in effect for central Montana and northern Wyoming there, and also for parts of southern Oregon and northern California there. We have some dense fog advisory, or actually this is some air quality alerts in effect for parts of California, Oregon, Idaho, and into parts of Washington there. We have some dense smoke advisories in the yellows for parts of Nevada and California, as well as another area for California, Oregon, Idaho, and Washington there, where you have some dense smoke advisories in effect. So now we're going to get into the actual storms and the threats that they could definitely pose. So definitely here's a look at the 5-day graphical outlook right now, and right now it is looking very active. If we have one more storm that is active in the Atlantic, then we will have the record for the most amount of active storms in the Atlantic. So we definitely have a very active Atlantic right now. We have one area that if this forms will tie the record, and if we have one more to form, then we'll have the record broken for 6 storms in a row, all at one time forming in the Atlantic. So that'll definitely be very interesting. We have 2 other areas with low chances of developing off the coast of Africa and over the western Gulf of Mexico there. So here is the current satellite imagery of tropical, or actually I believe this is tropical depression 20 here. So currently it is very disorganized, but it'll start to organize a little bit within the next coming days. It's currently located at 12.2 degrees north by 35.5 degrees west, maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour, moving west-northwest at about 10 miles per hour. So here is the Hurricane Center's cone of uncertainty, and they are bringing this north and east of the Caribbean and into parts of the Atlantic. So it does not look like it's going to impact any land. Maybe it could impact parts of Bermuda over the next couple of days. Now, here's the model intensity guidance for the storm, and it is expected to become a hurricane, maybe even a Category 2 or Category 3 hurricane at the highest. So potentially we could have a major hurricane on our hands. So here is currently Tropical Depression Renee. Currently, it's not looking too good on the current infrared satellite, and there's really not too much convection with this storm. It's a very small, wrapped-up system that's not really having any luck developing. So here is currently where Tropical Depression Renee is located. It's at 26.2 degrees north by 47.1 degrees west and has maximum sustained winds of about 30 miles per hour, moving northwest at 18 miles per hour, or actually 14 miles per hour there. So here is the cone of uncertainty forecast. It is expected to become a tropical, or stay as a tropical depression, and then weaken to a post-tropical cyclone within the next couple of days. Now, here is the model intensity guidance for this storm, and it is expected to stay as a tropical depression over the next few days and throughout its entire lifespan. Now, here is currently tropical, or actually I believe it's Hurricane Paulette by this point, and currently this is is looking very well defined on the satellite. You see a well defined eye, and you do see a little bit of circulation there. So here it is. It's currently located at 29.6 degrees north by 61.4 degrees west. Maximum sustained winds of about 80 miles per hour, moving west northwest at about 14 miles per hour. Now, currently, it is a hurricane and is expected to stay as a hurricane all the way until it's basically paralleling Nova Scotia and Maine there in the northern Atlantic. So it is expected to stay as a hurricane very far to the north, and it is in the very far northern Atlantic. This would be pretty much paralleling parts of Europe by this point. That's how far north the system is, and it is still expected to stay as a hurricane. And that would be by Friday. And you see for Bermuda, we actually have some hurricane warnings in place. Now, here's Hurricane Paulette's model intensity, and it is expected to stay as a Category 1, maybe even intensify to a Category 2 or 3 hurricane over the next couple of days. Now, here is Tropical Storm Sally, and this is really the main thing that I want to talk about in today's video. Currently on the infrared satellite, it is looking well defined. We have an eye or some sort of eye or circulation that is located right here. Yesterday, most of the circulation was actually located on the western and also the southern side of this storm, and right now it has actually flipped. So now most of the convection is on the eastern side of the storm, and it's going to continue to move like that, and eventually you're going to see most of the circulation actually be within this quadrant, the northern quadrant of the storm. So that's kind of a demonstration of how the storm has changed and how it's been rotating around itself. And eventually, I think you will get convection on all sides of the low pressure, and that's when I really think it's going to start to develop into a hurricane. Now, something that might hold it back is that it's so broad of a system that maybe it has actually some problem developing. Larger systems have it makes it harder for these systems to really develop. That's why smaller systems, although they impact less area, can really develop much quicker because they need less ingredients to actually develop there. So here is where Tropical Storm Sally is currently located at 27.3 degrees north by 84.6 degrees west. Maximum sustained winds of about 50 miles per hour, moving west northwest at 13 miles per hour. Now, here's the key messages for Tropical Storm Sally. You can pause the video right here and read them if you would like. Now, here is the cone path of Tropical Storm Sally. It is expected to stay as a tropical storm and then actually intensify to a hurricane by Monday afternoon, and then until it makes landfall, it is expected to stay as a hurricane. Hurricane warnings in place in that red for southeastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi. We have some hurricane watches for southern Alabama and also the southern coast of Louisiana there, and also we have some tropical storm warnings in effect for southern Alabama all the way to parts of the western part of the panhandle of Florida, and then tropical storm watches in effect for the eastern panhandle of Florida there. So here's the model track guidance for this storm. It is expected to kind of move further to the west northwest and then curve as it moves on land into parts of the southeast there. So that is the current model track guidance. Here's the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities from the National Hurricane Center. It is expected to sustain those tropical storm force winds, and you actually have about almost a 100% chance on land of seeing tropical storm force winds. Here's your hurricane force wind speed probability, and we are looking at somewhere right around 40 to 50% chance of that occurring. And then here is your Tropical Storm Sally rainfall forecast. Anywhere in the light greens, 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, 2 to 4 inches in the greens, 4 to 6 in the yellows, 6 to 10 in the oranges, 10 to 15 in the reds, and then we even have 15 to 20 offshore of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama there. So we do actually see that on land we are seeing in this red at least 10 inches of rainfall, and that's really concerning me here with this storm, is the fact that it's gonna have this track where it's gonna kind of move northward, and then it's just gonna stall out, impacting the same areas by moving westward, and because most of the convection is going to shift to the northern side, you're going to get impacted pretty much this entire time, since the northern side of the storm would of course be on land into Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. That's really going to be a pretty bad recipe there, so it's really not going to be too good for these areas. You're going to see quite a bit of rainfall, and also we're going to see potentially some flash flooding with this. We have a 20% chance of flash flooding over the next 3 days, a 10% chance in that yellow, and a 5% chance in that green region. So here is your peak storm surge forecast from the National Hurricane Center. They are expecting storm surge up to 11 feet over parts of southeastern Louisiana there, and over parts, especially right in the eastern Bay areas of parts of California, or parts of Louisiana there. So here is the model intensity guidance for the storm. It is expected to stay as a tropical storm and then intensify to a Category 1 hurricane, maybe a Category 2 if some of these models are correct, and then it should dip down as it makes landfall to a tropical storm and then quickly down to a tropical depression. Here is the aircraft recon that they found with the storm, and they are looking at some flight level winds that are approaching 60 miles or 60 knots, which is not at hurricane force, but it is still definitely very close. And this was actually from the completed mission that they had last night, so this was an earlier one, so they are still doing another one that they're currently going into, and I'll show you that most likely in tomorrow's video when they complete that. But that one will most likely find at least some 60 knot, maybe 64 knot winds, and maybe they'll find a closed circulation in that one as well. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.